Hey there, my friend. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I want to talk to you directly, especially if you've ever caught yourself standing in front of the mirror, picking apart your appearance, or wondering why you don't seem to turn heads the way you think hot people do. We've all been there, haven't we? Social media, movies, dating apps, they've trained us to believe that hot is some impossible standard that only belongs to a chosen few. But what if I told you that you're a lot hotter than you think? And the only reason you don't feel it is because you've been wearing someone else's definition of attractiveness. Most of us miss the signs, the subtle but powerful ways our energy, our presence, our natural charisma actually affect the people around us. You might think, I'm just average. But let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed people turning to look at you even when you're not trying? Or someone stumbling over their words just talking to you? That's not by accident. That's not coincidence. That's you radiating something real, something magnetic. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 honest, often overlooked signs that you're way hotter than you've given yourself credit for. These aren't just surface level compliments or fake confidence tricks. These are the real, deep indicators that you're far more attractive than you realize. And once you learn to recognize them, you'll stop trying to be hot and start owning the fact that you already are. So sit back, lean in, and give yourself permission to finally see what others have been seeing all along. Let's get into it. Because this is going to shift how you see yourself forever. One of the clearest signs that you're hotter than you think is when people compliment you on things you never even notice about yourself. And I don't mean the generic, you look nice kind of compliments. I'm talking about those oddly specific, almost random compliments that catch you off guard. Like when someone says, I love your laugh, or there's something about your eyes when you're focused, or even you have this calming voice. It's addictive. These compliments hit differently because they're not about something you consciously present to the world. They're about the pieces of you that just naturally shine through when you're not trying. That's what makes them so powerful. See, most people chase attractiveness by focusing on the external clothes, makeup, filters, posing just right. And while those things can help, they're not the core of your allure. Real attraction, the kind that sticks in someone's mind long after you've left the room, is often found in the subtle details you overlook in yourself. Maybe it's the way your eyes crinkle when you smile, or how you tilt your head when you're listening intently. Maybe it's your posture when you're lost in thought, or how you light up when you talk about something you love. These are the micro moments where your authenticity shines, and that is hot, because real confidence doesn't come from obsessing over your looks. It comes from understanding the way you impact people without even realizing it. If someone takes the time to point out something unique and beautiful about you, and especially if it's something you never would have thought to compliment yourself on, that's not small talk, that's connection. And chances are they're not the only one who's noticed. Most people just don't have the courage to say it out loud. So the next time someone compliments something about you that feels random or minor, don't brush it off like it's nothing. That's a glimpse into how others really see you. Not filtered through your insecurities, not distorted by comparison, but raw and real. And if they're noticing these things without you even trying, just imagine what happens when you start actually owning them. That's when the game changes. That's when you stop chasing hot and start embodying it. Because hot isn't always about the most obvious features. It's about what people feel when they're in your presence. It's about the emotions you stir, the energy you give off, the comfort or confidence or fascination someone feels just by being around you. And that starts with those little compliments, the ones that reveal you're already magnetic in ways you've never noticed. So don't underestimate what someone sees in you just because you haven't seen it yet yourself. That compliment might be the mirror you never knew you needed. Another powerful sign that you're hotter than you think is how often strangers make eye contact with you, and more importantly, how long they hold it. Now, let's be real. Eye contact is one of the most primal, instinctive forms of human connection. It's raw, unfiltered, and happens before any words are exchanged. When someone looks at you and doesn't immediately glance away, when they hold the gaze even for a few extra seconds, that's not nothing. That's attraction. That's curiosity. That's a spark, even if it's subtle. And yet so many people brush it off. They think, oh, maybe they were just looking around, or I probably had something on my face, because deep down they can't imagine that they might be the reason someone's eyes are lingering. But let me be clear, people, don't accidentally get locked into your gaze. They stay there because something about you pulled them in. Maybe it's the softness in your eyes, the warmth in your expression, the intensity of your presence, or even just the way you hold yourself. Eye contact is incredibly intimate. It says, I see you. And when someone wants to keep seeing you, even just for a few seconds, it means something about you caught their attention in a deep and instinctive way. It's a moment that bypasses logic. It doesn't require perfect makeup, a flashy outfit, or a flawless physique. It's just you showing up in your natural state and someone feeling pulled to connect. What's even more telling is when this happens repeatedly, when you notice people doing double takes, glancing at you across a room, or giving you that look that says, I want to say something, but I don't know how. That's energy you're giving off, whether you realize it or not. It's magnetic, and often it's the people who are the most unaware of their attractiveness who experience this the most, because they're not trying to impress, they're just being. And that's what draws people in. You see, you don't need to be the loudest, flashiest person in the room to be the most attractive. Sometimes your quiet confidence, your unspoken presence, your natural warmth, that's what people can't look away from. That's why people's eyes find you. That's why they hold that gaze, even if it's brief, even if they don't say a word. And if you've noticed this even once, if you've felt someone lock eyes with you and it left you wondering why, it's probably because they saw something in you that you've been too humble, too distracted, or too insecure to recognize. But it was there, it is there. So the next time it happens, don't write it off, smile back. Let yourself feel what it's like to be seen, because eye contact doesn't lie. And if strangers are making it with you and holding it, then believe me, there's something incredibly attractive about you that's speaking louder than words ever could. Another subtle but telling sign that you're hotter than you think is when people randomly find excuses to talk to you. And I don't mean deep, life-changing conversations. Talking about those seemingly casual, low mistakes, unnecessary interactions. Someone else takes you for the time, even though there's a giant clock nearby. Compliment your shoes while clearly staring at your face, or they ask where you got your coffee from while standing in line at the same cafe. These aren't just coincidences or small talk for fun. These are sort of ways of saying, I want to be around your energy, but I don't know how to start. Because here's the true thing, people don't approach what doesn't draw them in. When someone's trying to break the ice with you for no real reason, it's often because you have something about you. A vibe and energy pulls them in before they even know what to say. That's charisma. And it's often invisible to the person who has it, forced to perform. It's just you moving through the world in your natural rhythm. And the funny thing is, most people think need to look perfect, attract attention, but so many of these moments happen when you're caught off guard. No makeup, hair in a bun, running errands, and sneakers, and still someone is trying to get a little piece of time. Why? Because attractiveness isn't just about how you look, it's about how you make people feel. It's in the way you make eye contact, the little expressions you make when you're thinking, or how you respond with kindness even when someone stumbles in conversation. Emotional availability there, and it's that natural charm. That's what draws people towards you. And when they don't know how to express it directly, they use excuses, create small reasons to extend the moment, to share even a small connection. If you're constantly finding yourself in these random chats, accidental conversations that keep happening wherever you go, don't brush it off. That's not randomness, that's a reflection of your people are drawn to your presence and look in. It's like emotional gravity. You may not always hear, wow, you're really attractive, but these interactions are that message, just in a quieter form. So instead of asking why someone would want to, flip the script, start noticing how often it happens. Because the more you realize people are searching for a way to connect with you, the more you'll begin to understand your power. You're not invisible. Just been underestimating how noticeable your presence really is. And when you finally start owning it, people won't excuses to talk to you. They'll be finding reasons to stay. Now let's talk about one that gets seriously misunderstood, being called intimidating. Maybe someone has told you this before. Maybe you've overheard it. You're felt in the way people hesitate to approach you. And if you're like most people, your first reaction is to think, wait, is that about? Let me tell you right now, it's not. In fact, being called intimidating is often a sign that you're far more attractive and powerful than you realize. When someone calls you intimidating, what they're usually saying is you have presence. You walk into a room and you don't shrink. You hold your head high, even if you're nervous inside, chase approval. And whether you know it or not, kind of quite confident is magnetic. The reason some people feel intimidated by you is because you force them to step up, second guess their own insecurities. You challenge them even trying, not because you're rude or unkind, but because you're grounded. You don't beg for attention, please everyone. That in itself is deeply attractive, because hotness isn't always about being bubbly or loud or constantly available. Sometimes it's about having that cool, composed vase. I know who I am and I'm not here to prove anything. That kind of energy shakes people, especially though it used to being around someone with the truth is when someone says you're intimidating, it usually means they're impressed by you, but unsure how to approach. They feel drawn, but unsure if they're enough for you. That's power. That's presence of attractiveness that goes way deeper than a cute outfit or perfect skin. It's rooted in the way you carry yourself, the self-respect you radiate, I don't settle, that you give off, whether you realize it or not. And yes, it might mean some people hesitate before making a move or act awkward around you. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of theirs. People will either rise to your level or fall back in fear. And either way, that tells you everything you need to know. So the next time you hear that you're intimidation, instead of shrinking yourself or softening your edges just to be more approachable, approachable. Recognize it for what it is. Proof that your boundaries are solid and your presence is felt. And that, my friend, is sexy as hell. Too much they just didn't expect someone who knows their value, let them be intimidated. That's not your burden to carry on it, because the people are meant for you. Be scared of your power. They'll be inspired by and drawn even more. One of the most underrated signs that you're hotter than people assume you already have options. Think about it, too. Maybe you've had someone tell you, or I figured you were already taken. You probably have a ton of people chasing you, right? They say it like a throwaway comment, but it's loaded. What they're really revealing is how they see you, not as one desperate for attention, but as someone with value, with pull, with presence. There they see you'd obviously be attracted to. And here's the fascinating part. A lot of the time they say it not because they know your relationship status, because of how you carry yourself, your boundaries, the fact that you're not out here begging for validation or chasing people who treat you like an option. Quiet, hold yourself, the way you respond instead of react, the way you're comfortable in your own space, it signals something deep in this person. Has standards, this person has self-worth, isn't subtle, and when people pick on, they naturally assume that others do too, that you must already have people interested in you. Might even hesitate to approach you because the competition is too high. And while it might be frustrating if you're single and looking, understand what's happening, you're radiating a kind of assurance that tells people you know what you bring to the table, and that's insanely attractive. Think about it, people who are constantly chasing approval, trying too hard, or giving you vibes, don't get assumed to have lots of options. Now that assumption only follows people who exude emotional independence. Emotional independence is hotter than any Instagram filter. It shows you're not waiting around to be chosen, you choose. It's in the way you engage in conversations, how you don't ever explain yourself, you can enjoy your own company, how you show interest without losing your identity. And what's wild is, even if you don't see yourself that way, others might, because the truth is, we often don't recognize the power of the way we show up. We think we're just surviving, that they're just being ourselves, just doing our thing. But to others, that quiet confidence likes strength. It looks like experience. It looks like you've got options, even if your phone isn't blowing up at midnight. So when someone tells you they assumed you were already dating someone, or thought you must be out of their league, they don't get discouraged. Let it affirm what being given yourself credit for. You're being seen, even if it's in ways you don't always notice. People are watching how you move, how you talk, how you hold your boundaries. And those things are telling a story that says this person knows their worth. And worth, my friend, is always sexy. They're, one of the most telling signs that you're hotter than you think, when just being you makes someone nervous. And I'm not talking about arrogance or being full of yourself. I mean, those real human moments where someone gets flustered, stumbles over their words, fidgets, avoids eye contact, or suddenly forgets how to function like a normal at the moment you walk into the room. It's easy to dismiss it, right? You might realize that they're just awkward, or maybe they're having a weird day. But no, more often than not, you're the reason. You've shifted their emotional state just by entering their space. That's power, that's presence. That's the kind of silent impact truly magnetic people have. What most people don't realize is that hotness isn't always loud. It doesn't need to be in your face or flashy. In fact, real soul-shaking attraction is often quiet. It's the way your energy disrupts someone's comfort zone without you saying a single word. Maybe it's your confidence. Maybe it's how you look people in the eyes. Maybe it's the way you carry yourself, like you don't need anyone's approval. And that energy alone forces people to question whether they're good enough for you. You've probably had moments like this and not even known what was happening. Someone was fidgeting during a conversation, over-explaining themselves, laughing a little too loudly. Or flat out avoiding you after one intense interaction. And you walked away thinking, did I do something wrong? When really you just made them feel something. And that feeling was attraction mixed with fear, desire tangled with insecurity. Because here's the true thing: when someone is truly drawn to you, not just physically, but emotionally, energetically, it makes them vulnerable. It reminds them of every insecurity they have. And if they haven't done the work to feel secure in themselves, realize that they won't know how to handle the gravity you bring. You didn't say anything flirtatious. You didn't try to seduce them. You were just being you. And that alone was enough to make their heart beat faster. That's when you know. It's not about what you're doing. It's about who you are, your natural presence, your vibe, your unintentional confidence. It hits deeper than you realize. So the next time someone acts awkward around you or seems extra shy or nervous, don't immediately assume it's about something wrong with you. Flip the script. It might just be proof that you've struck a nerve, that you've awakened something they didn't expect. You've become a mirror reflecting back to them, not just attraction, but a realization that they need to level up to be around someone like you. That's how powerful your presence is. Dull it there, don't dull it down. Don't shrink just to make others more comfortable. If someone gets nervous around you, let them be nervous. That's their journey. Yours is to realize you're hotter than you think, and your presence alone is all the proof you need. Here's the final and maybe the most beautiful sign that you're hotter than you think. You don't try too hard and yet you still get noticed. Think about that for a second. You're not performing, you're not chasing attention, you're not constantly thinking about how to be more attractive, and somehow people remember you. They glance at you across the room. They lean in when you speak. They bring up moments you forgot about. You were just being yourself. That's what real magnetism looks like. Not effort, not force, just presence. You're the person who walks into a space, says nothing loud or showy, but people feel you. They sense something, a softness, a strength, an energy that doesn't beg but still pulls there. And here's what's wild. You may think you're just blending in, doing your thing, not really standing out. But others are experiencing you entirely differently. They're seeing someone who feels grounded, someone who doesn't seek approval in every room, someone who seems like they belong without asking for permission. That kind of natural confidence is incredibly rare and incredibly attractive. And the thing is, you probably don't even notice it because it's just you. You're not curating every move. You're not desperate for compliments. And that's exactly what makes you stand out. People are drawn to what feels real. And real is what you are. Maybe you don't realize how you look when you're deep in thought, or how sexy your vibe is when you're laughing with zero self-consciousness. Maybe you've never stopped to notice how calming your voice is when you're explaining something with passion, or how intriguing your silence is when you're simply listening. Realize that these aren't things you can fake, and they're the exact things people remember. So if you've ever felt like you're invisible because you're not doing all the things, please understanding effortless attraction is the highest form of attraction. That it's the kind that lingers, the kind that makes someone go home and wonder, who was that person? Without even realizing why they're still thinking about you. That's the effect you have, and you don't need to push for it. You don't need to be louder, thinner, taller, trendier. You just need to recognize that what you're doing effortlessly, showing up as yourself, unfiltered, unapologetic, is already turning heads there. And the moment you stop thinking you need to do more to be enough, that's when your attractiveness becomes undeniable, not just to others, but finally to yourself. You've been waiting to become someone magnetic when really you've been that person all along. You just needed to stop underestimating your quiet power. You don't try too hard, realize that and yet you still get noticed. And that, my friend, is the clearest sign that you are hotter than you think. So here's the truth, the kind that most people never say out loud. Being attractive isn't just about the obvious. It's not always about sharp cheekbones, six-pack abs, or the kind of face that fits perfectly into society's narrow beauty. Real hotness, the kind that makes people lean in, makes hearts beat faster. Realize that and lingers long after you've left the room. That comes from within. It's the way you carry yourself when you're not performing. It's the confidence you radiate without needing to speak. Realize that it's micro moments, the eye contact, the laugh, the way people can't help but talk to you. Realize that they're the way you shake their comfort zone just by being present. That create an aura no filter can replicate. You've probably walked through life thinking you're just okay, or telling yourself that you blend into the background when in reality you've been magnetic this entire time. You just didn't know how to spot the signs, but now you do. You now know that the compliments people give you on the little things, your smile, your voice, realize that your energy mean more than you've allowed yourself to believe. You now understand that being called intimidating or having people assume you're taken is a reflection of your quiet power, not a problem you need to fix. You're learning that even your most natural state, when you're not trying, not posing, not even thinking about how you look, can still command attention. That's not luck. That's you there. So stop playing small. Stop editing your personality to make others feel more comfortable. Stop chasing validation when the signs have been there all along that you are already seen. Realize that it's time to own the room, not because you're the loudest, but because your presence is undeniable. And the beautiful thing is you don't need to change a single thing about yourself to step into that truth. You just need to believe it. You need to remind yourself that hotness isn't about looking like everyone else. It's about looking like yourself and doing it with pride, with depth, with energy that draws people in without effort. The world doesn't need another perfect face. It needs more people who are fully unapologetically themselves. And that includes you. So walk a little taller, make eye contact like you deserve to be seen, smile like you know the power behind it. And don't be surprised when people around you start reacting differently, not because you suddenly became hotter, but because you finally realized you already are. That's your power. Now go out and own it.